Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got
New 52 booklet.
it! Somebody clip this one.
Welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared. I'm here with Teladia Plays. What's up, brother?
Hey, not much, man. Not much. What a week we've had so far. Crazy.
Well, that's an understatement.
A
So
crazy week.
we were trying to figure out a topic to talk about because we narrowed it down to we're going to talk about the MCU in some way. But I was still trying to figure out how are we going to approach this. Then I see this tweet. Now, this is by the account Physical Media President, which I've done some research, and it turns out this is a pretty reliable source. And we're going to actually, you know what? I'll just share the tweet. So I'm going to put this on the screen. All of you people that are listening to this audio, go find this on YouTube. But it says here,
YouTube.
Warner Brothers is considering an IMAX an IMAX release for Zack Snyder's Justice League and a physical release of Justice is Gray. So, in other words, here's the interesting part about this. We said last year that if this thing gets even a limited theatrical release and does big, that's an interesting sign of where things could go.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Teladia? Because I got news for you. If this goes into IMAX and then makes them a lot of money, I could see them saying, actually, you know what? Let's try and complete the story to some degree.
I think they're gonna put it in IMAX and put the Justice Gray edition for physical media.
Well, yeah, it's said that, but what I was saying is that let's say that tweet is true.
Yeah.
Which it's an above likelihood that it is. So we're going to treat it like it's true. It comes out in IMAX and it does very well. You can't tell me Zaslav is going to go license it to Netflix.
He's gonna have to at this point.
They need money.
He needs money. Everyone is saying, right? I was talking to somebody, right? I said to them, look, Warner Brothers is bleeding money. They said, no, where do you get this from? I'm like, literally, it says they're 60% nearly bankrupt. You mean to tell me, and their stock is dropping too in the market. You mean to tell me that they're not bleeding money? You're totally wrong. If the stock prices drop so much, they need Zack Snyder's Justice League to kind of put it into IMAX. They need the money for that. They need physical media for Zack Snyder's stuff because they know it's a successful film. They know it's successful because think about it. The views from all over the world was quite big on streaming platforms.
Not only that, because here's the thing. The streaming platform or the streaming numbers can be kind of like fidgety because they're like different places that track streaming numbers and they track different types of streaming numbers. So it's still a little iffy. This is objective because this is actual box office now. Granted, it's of the 4-hour version of the movie, but let me put it this way. I could see this movie to being very successful because even if you haven't seen it, it comes out, a Justice League movie is released. People go and see it. They hear from word of mouth that this is really good. So people are like, okay, I'll go see this. And then it snowballs. And then all of a sudden, I see. I don't think the 4-hour cut will make $1 billion because the 4-hour cut is going to ward off.
No, it's gonna make the same numbers of BVS. I'm gonna put it out there.
That I could see. If it makes BVS numbers, yeah, Zaslav has got to call up James Gunn and go, hey, can you license this to Netflix so we can get more of this money, or just let Zack do his movie and then just complete the story and we're done. Because in all likelihood, it'll be just Justice League. We won't get like we won't get Batfleck or Deathstroke or Man of Steel 2. Those they can do as graphic novels, which on that, Joe Manganiello came out and basically implied that they're considering doing a series of graphic novels about his script. And I'm like, do that for those for those projects, even for the for the original Flash script. And then what you do is you complete the story for Justice League.
You said I can see that, but the fact is, a lot of fans don't want that. I've seen it. They don't. They want live action.
I've seen more people saying at least if they gave us the Justice League movies in live action, they'd be satisfied. That's what I think. The Justice League version, if this is successful, will be live action. I'm convinced that if this is successful, they'll do it.
The Justice League version on, like, doing that live action, that's for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, there's rumors now of Henry Cavill going to the MCU, and there's all that rumors as well. So it's like, what can Warner Brothers do to kind of reel him back in? It has to be a good deal, and it has to be a deal with Zack. Zack has creative control, not Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and that's likely to happen because here's the thing. Here's the other conundrum Warner Brothers is in. Speaking of Coyote v. Acme, because they're in a situation where they need positive PR. And let's face it, this has not been a positive year for Warner Brothers, like you alluded to earlier. No.
Yeah. Warner Brothers right now are all across all board, from video games to movies to animation, and TV shows. It hasn't been great. The cancellation of Superman and Lois, prime example. That show was great, but they canceled it because they don't want to compete with Superman and Lois. I'm just like, it's not competing with it. It's an Elseworld story, and still people would like it.
Yeah, in fact, William from the Sci-Fi Center, he hangs out in the Nicotina chat a lot, and one of the things he said, I was listening to his show this morning, and one of the things he brought up is that if you really still think that the audiences can't figure out that like Tyler Hoechlin is in a different universe than David Cornsweet, you're stupid. If you really think the audience is that stupid, use those words, which I appreciate, because yeah, that's true. If you see a difference, it would be one thing if they had Cavill playing both Supermen, but it's a different Superman.
It's an Elseworld Superman that's not even connected to the Arrowverse.
Particularly if, according to James Gunn, the Elseworlds imprint of DC, by the way, this is another way that they could do the movies under Warner Brothers and just say it's under Elseworlds, so it's not connected. Because he said the Elseworlds DC movies are going to have a different logo, a different intro, and everything. They're going to do everything they can to differentiate it. So just do this, and it's just max 2 movies, most at least one. Let's say they do it as a series and just do each of the parts. That way they don't have to worry about length and just release it on Max. Because can you imagine? Oh yeah, and Max, we're also doing Zack Snyder's Justice League the series, and then just go through it.
I would say if they're gonna do so after they do Zack Snyder's Justice League, if the rumor is true, let's say, right, and it coming to IMAX, so after that, and they say, okay, well, what was the numbers? First week is really high, second week is really high, and maybe the third week it drops a little, but I can still see Warner Brothers still saying that's a win for them.
Yeah,
because
if it does like great numbers from the beginning, like straight up, if it does relatively consistent numbers and it doesn't have that high of a drop, like obviously if it doesn't have like, let's say, Ant-Man Quantumania drop level, if it maintains fairly consistent and like stays pretty high, I could see them saying, okay, because here's the problem with this. Warner Brothers for some reason thinks that there isn't an audience for this stuff, so that's why they're doing the reboot. If we show them that if they do this, there is an audience that will show up for the movies, guess what? They'll do it.
Yeah. Plus, as well, Zack Snyder's DC stuff does well.
Yeah, according to the former head of Warner Brothers, he said no, the DC stuff did very well. The only stuff that like lost money was the Guardians of Gahul, but besides that, everything was very successful for us.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I think, moving on to, if you want to talk about the next big thing, because this actually coincides what we're going to be talking about next.
Uh, real quick before we do that, now,
Yeah.
what's the scenario? Like, let's war game this. So,
Yeah.
let's say they release it in IMAX this year because there's no like other DC projects coming out this year besides Creature Commandos the end of this year. So I could see them doing
And
as like
Joker.
a summer release on IMAX.
There's only one film coming
Well,
out this year.
Joker, but
Joker, that's it.
But what I'm saying is that maybe before or after Joker, like a month before Joker, a month after in the summer, they do like a summer release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Make that the summer blockbuster, if you will.
That can work for Warner Brothers. They need a win.
Yeah, and I think if they do in the summer, that stands the most likelihood of doing well. Adding on to the fact that after that, I could see it taking like maybe a couple of weeks to a month before we get like any inkling that they might want to do more of this if it's successful enough.
Yeah, agreed. That is for sure, because like if they do it in the summer, then you've got 2024. You got, for example, so we're getting Creature Commandos this year. We're getting Crisis films and Joker. But if they put a big Justice League film, it'll retain the audience to come back to the cinemas, to come back and watch big films like Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, to be specific, and get that revenue coming in, because Zaslav loves money, if we think about it.
And here's the thing. Before you guys put in the comments that no one's going to go to the movie theater for a 4-hour movie, people saw Avengers Endgame and that became the biggest movie ever, despite being 3 hours. People saw Avatar despite being 3 hours. Plus the fact when you watch the Snyder Cut, it does not feel like 4 hours at all. If anything, it feels like a 2-hour movie.
Plus, on top of that, there is an intermission in the IMAX.
Yeah, put the intermission in there.
Because they did that at SnyderCon 2023, where when they watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, they had an intermission thing in there.
Yeah, with you could put some music and everything like that, and you could just really like hype it up. And you can't tell me under those conditions that movie does not do well enough to warrant a sequel. Because after all, again, if you show Zaslav that there is money here, he will greenlight a sequel. I am 100% sure of it.
Yes.
And this does not mean cancel James Gunn's universe at all. All this means is that complete that story, and then we can move on to James Gunn's universe. Because you know what this is showing? First off, this is showing that we can complete a story. Granted, it'll take a really long time for us to complete a story. And it also shows the fans that that if you like this stuff, there's a place for you at DC. And there's a thing for everyone. And that's what you want. You don't want to alienate your audience with an IP that has struggled with the general audience.
Yeah, that is for sure. But only time will tell, Jared. If I'm honest with you, only time will tell if Warner Brothers has the guts to be like, okay, yes, we'll listen to the fans and we'll put it in IMAX, considering the fact that we haven't got anything to show. Like, we haven't got a Joker trailer yet. We haven't got anything
suit.
A Superman suit for Superman Legacy. The only thing we've got going is like behind the scenes stuff, but we haven't actually got official stuff.
True. Yeah, and to be clear, a day could come when they just like go out and say, yeah, this is not happening, or like they refute it. So we really don't know. We're saying in the event this happens, this is very big. So, speaking of Warner Brothers Discovery, we might as well hop over to this one. Warner Brothers is up for sale again, apparently. And the rumor is, the way the story goes is that Warner Brothers is going to be bought. They're not going to be the buyers. They're going to be the bought, and they're going to be bought by Universal, apparently.
Comcast, yeah.
Yeah, Comcast Universal, which that could be fun because it means then we get a DC theme park.
Not only that, imagine a Halo series with the Warner Brothers logo.
Oh, well, yeah. Wait. So that means that we could have Master Chief crossover with Batman?
Yeah.
Please buy it. Please do this. Let me have this thing, please. That would be the greatest thing in the world if we could get that crossover.
Isn't that Paramount? No, sorry, I must be getting confused. That's
Paramount Plus does the series.
Isn't Paramount? That's not Universal. I'm confusing this.
Let me see.
It would be cool though to have.
That would be funny. Let me see. No, it's a different thing, unfortunately. But still, that'd be cool.
Right.
But again, the interesting point is, I saw a tweet out today that was basically saying that Superman Legacy is basically just exists to showcase to potential buyers, hey, this is what the DC universe is.
Yep. And here's the thing, guys. When WBD sale goes again, and if they sell up again, trust me, this isn't going to be a good look for David Zaslav. It's not going to be a good look for James Gunn. It's not going to be a good look for Peter Safran, because those basically anyone that was in charge at Warner Brothers Discovery is gone, basically. And the new people are coming in. Now I'm very skeptical of what Comcast can do because they could take up anything. They could take up the games division. They could take up the animation. They could take up anything, really, right? They don't need to pick up anything, but they can pick up a certain piece of Warner Brothers Discovery and change the whole landscape. But does this mean does it guarantee sell SnyderVerse to Netflix? No, it does not guarantee it yet, unless they see you guys using the hashtags and posting it on Twitter.
Hashtag it, exactly.
And make sure to follow the rules of engagement, by the way. Make sure you do tag Netflix and not WBD.
Don't tag James Gunn or anything like that. But
yeah,
that's an interesting point, because this begs the question, what does a potential sale to WB mean, sale of WB mean for James Gunn and the DCU? Because honestly, here's the thing: there is a scenario that, granted, there is a scenario that exists where they're like, "Hey, you know what? I like this plan. I'm going to keep it the way it is." Or they could come in, and here's the way mergers work. When and we saw this literally when Zaslav bought Warner Brothers Discovery, the new management comes in. The new owner comes in and wants their people in charge. So you got to imagine they'll want their own person in charge of DC Studios. And despite what people think, I don't think James Gunn is as universally beloved in Hollywood, and particularly among the studio heads, as people think he is. Like, no, it's not the way it works. What do you think, Teladia?
I think that James Gunn is gonna have like situations where Warner Brothers is just like, oh, well, we want this to work. I want but James Gunn doesn't realize when WBD is for sale, nothing is safe. Nothing is guaranteed in life.
Yeah, exactly.
Prime example, really, when nothing was safe, is when Henry Cavill was supposed to come back as Superman.
You had to remind me of that, Teladia. You had to remind me of that.
No. It's to my point. It's to my point. where they said that, oh yeah, he's coming back, and then straight away within 3 days he's not coming back. And DC had marketed him out. He did marketing for like him returning as Superman and everything. And 3 days later, James Gunn said no. And the fact was that was purely because of Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi basically having the helm of things, and they were gonna do everything right. Now, would if I was selling WBD, I would like to keep Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi back at DC, overseeing.
You could put them in charge of DC and have them be the co-CEOs, and plus they have a pre-existing standing relationship with Zack. They're the reason why they were able to do Full Circle.
Yeah, and another thing too, what people don't seem to understand is it wasn't Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca's decisions to say, "Oh yeah, the Flash will do well." This is all David Zaslav and James Gunn hyping up the Flash and Blue Beetle, and they were saying these films are going to do well, and they didn't do well, and purely because is the fact is they wanted it to fail. They
Remember
purely
when they were trying to tell us that it was the best movie since Dark Knight?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That says everything. And remember when they say, "Oh, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be the most profitable thing for the gaming division?" Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
didn't work out that way. It did not work out that way, because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The gaming division right now is in a sticky situation, especially with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, with its problems within the servers and everything, and not many people are playing the game anymore. So this actually adds more fuel to the fire for Warner Brothers actually losing the games division, selling it off to Comcast, and Comcast basically picking it up and doing something different with that.
What do you think the odds are of them cranking the Wonder Woman game?
They have to. At this point now, they've got nothing to lose. If they crank
Yeah,
it up,
because here's the thing. It's very concerning that we know next to not that we haven't gotten any footage or anything besides that trailer and like some leaks. I get honestly, as sad as I am to say this, I think we're gonna start hearing the Wonder Woman game has been canceled.
you think the Wonder Woman game is going to get canceled?
I think it's gonna get canked. I think it's gonna get cranked. That's it. There's a reason why they haven't.
I want to hear your theory.
Well, here's the thing. There's no coincidence that we know next to nothing about the game. They've never, ever, ever told us anything about the game other than it's going to use the Nemesis system and it's going to be open world. That's it. We haven't gotten a scrap of footage about the game besides like some like employee banners on LinkedIn. So,
which I covered.
Yes, there you go. Well done, sir. It's the lack of information that indicates to me, because obviously if they fully intended to release the game, they would be blasting that thing out right now. Or at least before Suicide Squad came out, if you want to say they don't want to compete with Suicide Squad.
They would have at least had something, but I think, here's what I think. I don't think it's going to get scrapped. I think it'll still come out, but whatever other projects that other studios are doing for DC, like WB Montreal as an prime example, they have got one game that's already in production. That could be a Superman game that could still come out, but after that, I don't think any other projects that are in development, it's not going to be happening. They're going to change that up dramatically just to get top IPs out. They'll probably go back to the Batman formula, if anything. Which means
is sad because
I'm just like, no more Batman games, please. I beg you.
It's not that hard to give us a Wonder Woman or Superman, or even better, a Superman Wonder Woman game.
Yeah, a Super Wonder game for that matter.
Exactly, but again, it just very much concerns me that we know next to nothing about that Wonder Woman game. But back to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
The thing is, the scenario that I see most likely happening, because here's the thing. It would be one thing also if Superman Legacy was generating a lot of hype. I barely see anything about it, even when he announced stuff. It's like, even when I saw this one tweet that Brit sent me, as a matter of fact. I'm trying to pull that up. That that it brought up like the Twitter numbers of certain posts. Oh, here we go. Remember when it came out, the Batman Beyond concept art?
Yeah.
So it was like the current post in discussing film, that account, about the Batman Beyond animated movie has more likes than the Superman Legacy and Fantastic Four casting reveals.
That says everything because it's Batman. That's the first thing. And the animation style looks great.
Yeah, but it's the thing is like barely anyone's hyped about Superman besides some people on Twitter.
Chills, as the sequel say it.
Shills or Gunn fans. So really, if I'm like the head of, like, let's say Universal, and I show up, I'm gonna be like, okay, I don't see a lot of people talking about your movie or being hyped about it. When you announce it doesn't get that good of engagement. So you know what? We're not going to take the risk. We're just going to crank it.
You see, what James Gunn should be doing is an unveiling of the suit, like the Batman did.
Do something that is going to generate hype or discussion and get the name going, because I guarantee you a suit reveal would work, would do that.
You have to do what the Batman did in terms of marketing. You have to do that. Because if you do exactly what the marketing was for the Batman, it'll generate buzz. But because James Gunn isn't doing that, he's doing the opposite. It's kind of putting his projects in jeopardy.
Well, remember that would require him to actually be creative enough to figure that out.
But I mean, we've got more common sense than the average Joe, as I say, average Joe fans would say, right?
Well, yeah, because we actually understand what would be successful if you actually marketed your damn movie. I mean, I'm like, dude. And second off, stop commenting or arguing with fans on Twitter. Stop even clarifying stuff on Twitter, because you're not clarifying anything. All you're doing is you're confusing people. Stop casting people in other people's movies, because you cast Supergirl, even though you said she's not going to be in this movie, and you previously said I would never cast an actress for someone else's movie.
Now, what interests me the most is, are they going to continue on with this stuff? Because I have an inkling feeling. I don't think Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is going to. I think that's going to take as an Elseworld thing. I think they're going to carry on with the movie, but it'll be an Elseworld thing once the sale happens.
If the sale happens, honestly, I don't even think Supergirl will happen. I think they'll release Superman.
No. I think it'll happen, but it'll be under the banners Elseworld. Like, you know how they did with what's that movie? Like how the Batman is, right? The Batman was Elseworld.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that, Teladia. The new regime is not going to want to repeat the same. Is not going to want to like. They're not going to, depending on when the sale is actually finalized and the new regime is in. They're not going to want to continue with projects by the last people that, even if it didn't necessarily apply to DC, weren't making good business decisions. So likely what will happen is that, because by this point Superman will be pretty much done, I would say they'll release Superman and then just call it quits and say the universe is done, we're going to start over and do something else.
I think what they won't do the shared universe after
or
Superman
that they'll just say Elseworld movie. We'll just do a bunch of single movies. Still means they can do the SnyderVerse, because they'll just say Elseworlds and just do their own thing.
But what I mean is, the Woman of Tomorrow thing can be classified as an Elseworld story, and it can still work under that banner.
It depends on what the story is of that, because if it's of that Tom King book, yeah, you can get away with it because that book is very isolated from Superman. So the Woman of Tomorrow books, you could get away with doing that as like an Elseworlds movie if you needed to. But like Batman the Brave and the Bold, no. Booster, by the way, any movie or show by an obscure character like Booster Gold and Swamp Thing, that's not happening if the regime is bought out. Yeah. Paradise Lost is going to be retooled into an actual Wonder Woman project.
Yeah, that's going to happen. And furthermore, there's the whole Brandon Routh Superman thing.
Oh
Remember?
God, that BS. That's another issue I have because they're like they canceled Superman and Lois because they wanted they didn't want to compete Supermans, and then they supposedly are considering doing that.
It's confusing,
What
right?
is going on with this company, Teladia?
It's really confusing. Like, if the sale happens and this happens, then we lost Superman and Lois for Brandon Routh's Superman, right? Which, for me, I'm fine with that because we got a Kingdom Come style Superman movie series, right?
But
But
but,
at the
but, but, but here's the problem. It's not Superman and Lois was successful. Brandon Routh as Superman wasn't. He was part of a Superman movie that was sticking to nostalgia and underperformed at the box office.
but he did well in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Remember that to
Here's the
portraying the
thing: at
king
that point, CW had declining viewership. So did they?
for Crisis. I don't think so.
You mean don't think it had declining viewership? But
Yeah, just a Crisis, just the big event, so to say, right?
it's true. But again, the other issue gets in. It gets into the issue of again. Why, if you're gonna bring him back for even a series, why'd you cancel Superman and Lois?
Yeah, that's a question too. Like James Gunn, what are you doing? Like, I mean, the Chloe shippers are having a meltdown on this. I can tell you that.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but yeah, because and rightly so, because that was an awesome show. Granted,
Yeah,
its most recent season took a bit to get to something that was like really big, and I understand why they wanted to go
and you
for it.
won the bet.
And I won the bet. That's right. I remember when we were like, so we made a bet where like if I lost, I had to make a pro Wonder Bet video, and the bet was if action was going to be in an episode because there was a significant period where wasn't any action, and I won the bet. So I think that's when you had to make the Super Wonder video, which led to Snyder fans reading comics.
Yeah,
So hey, it helped you out there.
yeah, it is what it is.
Funny how that works.
But still, like here's what I'll say, guys. Like Warner Brothers right now, if they sell, okay, great, they sell. Now, please, the next company, please do things the right way.
I saw someone, by the way, put out a tweet. You're gonna love this. That was
Go
like
on.
the caption of the tweet was "This would be insane," and then it's a proposed thing about Netflix buying Warner Brothers. So literally, Netflix would buy the SnyderVerse.
Left.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if that happened? And then Zach's
Wait,
like,
wait,
"I'm
wait,
back."
rewind. I kind of lost track there.
So it was one of those like React channels, and they were like, "Wouldn't it be really weird if Netflix bought Warner Brothers and not Universal?" So literally, they would be buying the Snyderverse.
That would be epic, but I don't think Netflix
No,
would be.
I don't think it'll happen. It was more of a jokey thing, but I'm like, imagine the internet reaction if that happened.
Oh, the internet would have a meltdown.
Oh my gosh! And then they're like, "Hey, Zach, oh, you actually can do this because we have the rights to these movies now."
Plus, as well, do you know what will be really interesting?
What?
It's if Comcast comes in and they tell us, like, okay, we're going to do this, that, and the other, but as well in the movie division, we don't want to do the shared universe thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can do that, if Comcast or
Yeah, and then let's talk about that scenario real quick. If that happens, they could still retool some of those Gunn projects as Elseworlds movies. The only thing I will say is that a lot of the obscure ones are gonna get canceled because because the obscure characters, like say Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a perfect example. The only reason why that did as well as it did, or no, the only reason why people showed up for that is because you had the shared universe and people wanted to see what was next for the next Marvel project. If you don't have that shared universe, you lose that advantage immediately. And here's the thing. That's partly what happened with Blue Beetle, because I said that that's like separate from everything else. It could be a really great movie like Blue Beetle was, and no one will show up for it. So likely they'll cancel Booster Gold, which is kind of sad because I wanted a Booster Gold series. Swamp Thing's going away. Amazon's Paradise Lost will be turned into Wonder Woman Paradise Lost, and then it'll be an actual Wonder Woman project. Batman could stay. Superman, there'll only be one Superman. There won't be an Authority. Or it'll be called Superman the Authority, and it'll be a movie about him fighting the Authority.
Or
That's
Superman versus, or they'll change that to the Elite.
Yeah, or that, which is basically Superman versus the Authority. And it's kind of funny, if they did the whole separate movies, they could continue doing Matt Reeves, Joker. They could do Zack Snyder's Justice League. They could do all these different projects, and then just there's something for everyone, and they could have all these different projects coming out each year.
But the fact is, the thing is, what I'm thinking is they probably don't want to do that shared universe thing after the fact of what Diabolical, and with the thing with James Gunn right now is that him not exactly hyping up Superman Legacy the way it should be hyped up.
Well, not only that, I see a lot in the general audience of people not really being all into shared universes anymore. It's partly because of what the MCU did with like all the shows and homework that you have to do. So I could see them just saying, you know what, here's what they could do. Just say we're starting with just single movies. Just come out with a bunch of movies, see what works. Then you can come up with a sequel to it. Then another sequel. And then eventually you can introduce like Superman into the Batman movies. And then you can start building it that way. Start slowly.
Do what Zack originally planned.
Yeah, he was going to do Man of Steel.
Man of Steel 2.
Batman. Then Batman versus Superman.
Exactly, yeah. But because Warner Brothers is Warner Brothers, we don't know what it's going to be like in the future, right? Now I gotta ask you this: how much do you think the sale is going to be?
How much?
Mm.
I don't see.
Remember the sale for Warner Brothers merging with Discovery. Find out how much
was that? Yeah,
how much was that? Yeah.
Warner Bros. Discovery sale. Let me see. Says here that's the music publishing license. By the way, actually, you know what? Here's an article talking about the selling and stuff that we're talking about right now. So we might as well just go through that.
Yeah.
That'll help out. So there's been a lot of news. The other thing I've seen is that there's, because you notice how they sign like exclusive deals with like Tom Cruise and all that stuff, and they're saying that that's to basically say, hey, we have all these projects here, come by us. So Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group's chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi seem unwilling to push back on talent as a potential merger becomes more likely. Despite the pressure to acquiesce to demand some top talent, DeLuca and Abdi can still say no. The bottom line is they need to get DC to work, whether Zaslav owns it, whether Brian Roberts owns it, or whether someone else owns it. Lightshed's Rich Greenfield, a Wall Street Journal analyst and venture capitalist, explained. Yeah, the article from October also explained that there was confusion regarding who was calling the shots for DC Studios. James Gunn and Peter Safran are the co-CEOs of DC Studios, but Max also has a hand in the creative. However, a Max source stated that the collaboration between Gunn, Safran, and Max executives Sarah Aubrey and Casey Boy has been seamless so far. Well, that's the other thing, is that James Gunn thinks that, like, he's told people DC Studios is separate from Warner Brothers. It can't be, because Warner Brothers owns DC.
No, it's done. Like, do you get what I mean?
It just depends on what the new management wants to do, because again, they could like look at James Gunn's DC plans and go, you know what, you have a plan, stay on and do it. Or they could look at it and go, you know what, tank it. It's early enough that we don't have to like worry about like redoing universe and stuff. we'll just say Superman Legacy is its own universe and we're done. That's it. And then we'll just continue on here. But according to in terms of like how much the sale is going to be, I mean, I'm not exactly that sale. So let me do this. Let me do this value. I'm trying to find the actual value for when they sold, for when they actually were bought.
Yeah.
So far, I can't necessarily do it. And if you guys know, you can go ahead and drop in the comments. But I'd say it'd be on par with that. Or, I mean, it depends on what Zaslav wants to do.
It's going to be interesting on how much he sells up for, but I think the least amount I think he'll sell up for, I think,
Is what?
like the most cheapest amount he can sell the WBD, because it won't be expensive.
Yeah, because otherwise no one's going to buy it.
Otherwise, nobody's going to buy it. Yeah, because if you think about it, if he hasn't got anything to add to the, since he bought the company, has he done anything good with the company?
Nope. He came in, canked Batgirl, which that may be a good thing, but canked Acme. He's been like running the company to the ground. That's the other thing. The sale happens, Zaslav's gone. Guarantee it. He's not gonna be the CEO anymore. He's gone.
He's gone, yeah. Plus, on top of that, he said he promised us, oh, we're gonna get Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to be the forefront of things.
Where are they? Because here's the thing: Batman and Superman were at the air quotes forefront of the DCU. Where is Wonder Woman?
Yeah, where's Wonder Woman?
Again, Paradise Lost does not count because Wonder Woman, because that takes place before she's born.
And furthermore, like he said, oh, we're going to have if we're going to explore the Superman world, and if you're doing a Superman movie, we're going to explore the Superman. We're going to have a Superman game or something. We're going to explore that world in a video game world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like 2 years later or something, he's saying something completely different.
Yeah, you notice he walked back that because again he was like, "We're gonna tie everything together," and now it's like, "Now we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that."
And it's like in the Variety article that I saw, it was like, "Oh well, we're not obligated to make a Superman game." I'm just like, a few months back, David Zaslav literally said in an earnings call, like, "You guys were gonna explore that world."
Yeah, but there's like too much.
Too much contradictory.
That's the other that's the other reason why I doubt James Gunn is going to stay on as CEO of DC Studios, because he keeps saying these things to people that he's not a good communicator online. As a CEO that's supposed to be hyping up his projects, he's doing a very piss poor job of doing that.
Yeah,
to be clear, you could love his movies. I like his Marvel work. Hate his DC stuff with a passion. You could like his Marvel work. The dude doesn't do well like this because
you could like his stuff like Brightburn, which was
that wasn't even him. I don't think. Was that him?
Yeah, I think it was Brightburn and Dawn of the Dead, which he wrote.
He wrote, but reportedly there were heavy rewrites afterwards. He was a producer on it, on Brightburn.
Yeah, but he had interviews when that was promoted. Heavily, he was involved on that.
Yeah. The point is, it's like he has issues communicating with people, and he just confuses people and pissing people off on Twitter, on the internet. So again, there is a scenario, and plus, you may be wondering, well, if Gunn goes, what about Saffron? Oh, Saffron is definitely going to go soon, because guess what? His DC movies he produced, except for Aquaman, flopped hard.
Yeah.
They hired the two people that have the worst track record of anyone. Because remember, Gunn's DC projects,
literally.
Now, you could say that like Suicide Squad was because of COVID and the day and date release, but reportedly Peacemaker did not get that good numbers. Thank God, because it sucked. But he should have stayed with Marvel.
He should have stayed at Marvel. And what should have happened, it should have been Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi to be in charge of Warner Brothers Pictures and DC Pictures, to be precise,
Now,
to
if there's a
oversee things.
sale, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to put DeLuca and Abdi in there. I'm just trying to moderate our
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
What it could mean is that the fire James Gunn thing could happen. I'm just being honest because, again, and we literally saw it last year when the first sale happened, where they came in and they fired the holy trinity of BS.
The clown table, as we
The
called
clown
them.
table. That's good. I love that.
Yeah, the clown table was removed, and in comes Mike DeLuca and Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi. Literally, they were going to restore the SnyderVerse, and as soon as David Zaslav comes in, shakes it up, brings in Peter Safran and James Gunn, and that never happened. And I'm just like, and James Gunn wants to do it his way. I'm just like, all right, we'll see what you've got, but I don't think even James Gunn understands that he's in serious hot water right now. If his films does not do well, if his projects don't do well, then you can say bye-bye to being CEO of DC Studios.
Particularly if there's a sale, I could see them just going, okay, you know what? We're done.
No. He'll be bye-bye of DC Studios and bringing Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi just to take over.
What I'm saying is that if there was a sale, either way, they'll get rid of him most likely because they'll want new management in there. Because again, the buying company always wants their guys in charge.
Yes.
So likely that's what'll happen. And then they'll say, okay, we're going to cank your plans. You're not co-CEO anymore. We're not going to do that. We're just going to manage it ourselves. You can be a creative involved in it and do all the obscure DC characters, but you're not going to do any other DC characters. You're done. Likely that's what can happen. But I think that's a good place to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
And so remember to like, comment, subscribe, particularly sub to Teladia. All of his stuff will be in the description below. And make sure to join us when this comes out tonight, because we will be reviewing Suicide Squad Hell to Pay with Sam Liu.
Again.
And yes, again. He already confirmed with me that he is coming on, so we're all good. And be sure to let us know what you think is the likely scenario when it comes to a sale, and also if you think that how much you think that the Snyder Cut will make in IMAX. If you think it'll do like crazy numbers despite being a 4-hour movie. So,
do you think it'll make BVS numbers?
Oh, I think it could, but
put in the comments section. We want to hear your thoughts.
Exactly. So stay heroic. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lame, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks.
Super Wonder.
Bye-bye. Yes, Super Wonder. Thank you.